Welcome to EduCasts, home of EduCasters. While the three primary laws get most of the attention, Thorndike formulated several minor, supplementary laws that added crucial layers of nuance to the connectionist model, helping to explain why learning isn't just a simple input-output mechanism. A. The law of multiple response, varied attack. This law states that when a learner encounters a novel problem, they will engage in a variety of responses until one proves effective. This is the foundation of the initial trial and error behavior observed in the puzzle box. Educational implication. Productive struggle. In the classroom, this validates the importance of productive struggle. Instead of providing an immediate answer, the teacher should encourage the student to try a few things or attack the problem from a different angle. For instance, when tackling a difficult historical analysis, a student might first try outlining, then perhaps a concept map, and finally a free write. The initial, varied attempts, the multiple responses, are a necessary step in finding the single correct response strategy, which is then stamped in by the law of effect. B. The law of set or attitude, the learner's mindset. This law emphasizes the importance of the learner's pre-existing disposition, temporary or permanent mental state, or emotional set, in determining their response to a situation. What the learner wants or expects affects what they do and learn. Educational implication, the power of expectation. The law of set is the precursor to modern research on mindset and self-efficacy. If a student walks into a geometry class believing they are bad at shapes, this negative set acts like blinders, preventing them from noticing or trying potentially successful SR connections. Conversely, an optimistic and growth-oriented set can prime the student for success. Teachers must therefore actively work to cultivate a positive attitude toward learning by celebrating effort, minimizing judgment, and helping students see themselves as capable learners. This set is why a student who is passionate about coding, a positive set, can tolerate long hours of debugging, an annoying state that would otherwise derail a less motivated learner. C. The law of prepotency of elements, selective attention. This rather complex law states that in any given stimulus situation, S, the learner will react to only the prepotent or most significant elements and disregard the irrelevant ones. The learner is constantly sifting through sensory inputs to find the parts that matter most for forming the correct SR bond. Educational implication, focus and clarity. This law provides crucial guidance for instructional design. If a teacher wants students to focus on the structure of a paragraph, they must make the structural elements, topic sentence, evidence, analysis, prepotent. 1. Avoid cognitive overload. Instructional materials must be clean, clear, and devoid of unnecessary distractions. Overly busy slides or rambling lectures violate this law by burying the prepotent elements under a mountain of noise, making it impossible for the learner to form the right SR bond. 2. Highlighting and framing. Teachers use techniques like highlighting key vocabulary, using bold headers, or framing a learning objective explicitly to ensure the student's attention is directed precisely at the elements necessary for the desired response. D. The law of response by analogy, generalization. When faced with a new situation, a novel stimulus S', the learner will respond using the connections that have been established for similar situations. The original stimulus S. This is Thorndike's explanation for the cognitive process of generalization. Educational implication, building bridges. This is where students begin to figure things out based on prior knowledge. 1. Leveraging prior knowledge. Effective teaching must deliberately reference prior learning. When introducing long division, the teacher should explicitly remind students of their mastery of basic multiplication and subtraction. The process of long division, S' is solved by applying the SR bonds formed for the simpler analogous operations, S. 2. Creating scenarios. Teachers can prompt students to use analogies. This new type of persuasive essay is a lot like the debate structure we mastered last month. What elements can we transfer? This helps the student consciously engage the necessary SR bonds. E. The law of associative shifting. This final, pivotal minor law explains how an SR connection can be shifted from one stimulus to an entirely different one, provided the original response, R, is maintained. This process involves introducing a new stimulus while the original stimulus is present, and then gradually fading the original stimulus out. Educational implication. Bridging to abstraction, associative shifting is key to moving from concrete learning to abstract understanding. 1. Fading and scaffolding. A classic example is teaching the concept of 3. The teacher initially uses 3 physical apples, S1, and gets the response 3, R. Then they introduce the numeral 3, S2, alongside the apples. Over time, the apples, S1, are faded out, and the numeral 3, S2, alone elicits the response 3, R. The SR bond has been successfully shifted. This technique of scaffolding and fading is the gold standard for moving students from tangible, hands-on learning to symbolic representation. Thorndike's theory did not just stay within the realm of laboratory psychology. It immediately permeated educational systems, fundamentally changing how teachers prepared lessons and measured outcomes. A. Drill, practice, and automaticity. The most visible manifestation of connectionism is the sheer quantity of practice work in schools. Worksheets, flashcards, memorization drills, and repetitive exercises are all direct descendants of the law of exercise combined with the law of effect. The goal is to make foundational skills, spelling, basic math, grammar, conjugation, automatic, to the point where they require zero conscious thought. This practice is validated by the theory as the essential method for strengthening those low-level SR bonds. E. Programmed instruction in small steps. Thorndike's insistence that learning is incremental and proceeds in small steps became the intellectual driving force behind programmed instruction, which was later popularized by B.F. Skinner's work on operant conditioning, a clear successor to the law of effect. The idea is simple. 1. Break complex material down into the smallest possible instructional units. 2. Present these units sequentially, law of readiness exercise. 3. Ensure the student achieves immediate success on each unit, law of effect, maximizing positive reinforcement, and stamping in the correct connection before moving on. This approach minimizes errors and annoyance, keeping the learner in a perpetually satisfying state of readiness and success. Modern e-learning modules, personalized learning software, and even many remedial curricula are structured this way, relying on immediate feedback loops to cement the learning. C. Curriculum sequencing and horizontal-vertical articulation. The law of readiness profoundly influenced how curricula are designed. Curriculum architecture. Educational architects began to focus intensely on articulation, ensuring that the curriculum flows smoothly, both horizontally, across different subjects at the same grade level, and vertically, from one grade level to the next. Lessons are sequenced to ensure that the required SR bonds from last year are ready and available for use in this year's lessons, preventing gaps in readiness that breed frustration and failure. This is why algebra is taught after arithmetic, and basic composition skills precede literary analysis.